So within this lesson, we're going to get into some really cool stuff where we're going to actually be having some interaction happening. Keyboard clicks, they're going to get tracked, and then something is going to happen once they get tracked. So first we need to set up an object. So we're just going to call it key click, and we're going to have just a blank default object that we're going to be using. And then here we're going to set up some event listeners. So add event listener, and we're going to listen for the event of key down. So this is pulling in the DOM and then adding different events. So we're going to have a function event, and we do have to pass that parameter there. And we want to have that false. And then within here is where we're going to actually set up the event. So we're just going to call it key click. So this is that object that we just set up here. And then we're getting this event information. And we're going to get the actual key code. And this should be a period because we're getting the key code from that event object. And we're going to pass this over into another function. So for now, what I'm going to do is console log that out. So we'll launch, just back out to here, open up our console here. So I'm using Chrome. So there's a spelling error there somewhere. Go back out. So now we see that when I touch on the keyboard, we're getting these objects that are sent in. So it's actually taking in and doing that event listening. So these are just, when I touch the keyboard, I get these objects happening. And so we're got to pass over the key code. And also within this key click object, so we're actually not passing anything, so we're not putting anything, we have to actually set it as being true. And so now whenever we click a key, we're actually going to get a click, when we go key click, we're actually going to get the ASC character code for the key that we're clicking. So this is down, this is left, this is up, and this is right. So we see that it's actually building up. If I put in space, I believe space was 32, and each different key within the keyboard is going to return a second value within there. So this actually, we probably have to start removing out objects because we don't want to have all of these objects always all true, and we do want to have removing those events. So we want to add in a second event, and this is going to be key up, and this is going to void that first event, and what it's going to do, it's simply going to delete out that key click event. So we should clear that out. So every time the key gets pressed in, we're going to pick up that value, and every time it gets lifted up, we're going to lose the rest of the values. So it gets cleared out every time we raise the key, and this gives us the ability to return back that one value that we're looking for. And then these are the values that we're actually going to look for when we do our calculations. And we see here that sometimes if you do press a bunch of keys at once, it does pass through more than one value. So this is something we're going to look for as well within the object, and that's why we're using an object, because we're getting a number of different values that can get passed through within here. So again, within the next lesson, we're going to get into some more interesting stuff. So for now, we're just going to set up an additional function, and I'm just going to call it move, and I'm going to send that key click value within a parameter there, and then I'm going to just set up a brand new function. So another one there, and I'm going to call this one move. So this will have everything to do with moving around the screen, and we're going to check for particular values that we're passing over. So we know that we're passing over those key click values. So we know that once we've passed that over, then we have to do something dynamic with the calculation of where our player is facing, and then again render that out. So maybe what we can do for now is we'll render that out, and whenever a key gets clicked, I'll do player X, and of course we're going to change this coming up as well. So now when I go back out and refresh it, so whatever key I'm pressing right now, we see that we do have our moving functionality. And in the next lesson is going to be some more interesting stuff where we're actually going to make the mouth open and close as we're moving around. And then we're also going to add in the different directions, detect what key has actually been clicked, and run that particular, set those particular values for the keys that get clicked. So it's coming up in the next lesson.